Today's video is sponsored by NordPass. Well, hello everyone and welcome to my library. If you're new here, hello, my name is Chinsia, and if you're not new here and you're one of my lovely regulars, hi, how are you? I hope you're doing splendidly. So today we're on the floor, which is why we are joined by dogs, and if you are by any chance familiar with my scruffy dog, I shaved him today. Now, I don't think this is that bad a job for someone who's never shaved a dog in her life. Hello, my little man. And he looks like a completely different dog. It's fascinating how hair can transform an animal. But yes, I'm afraid the script that I was working on wasn't finished in time for today's deadline. So I thought, if you don't mind, I'm doing an unscripted non-essay video about like an ode to darkness and all that stuff. I'll include like a chat about what I love about the Gothic, and also share with you some of my darkest books, and I think also my prettiest dark books. And if you see any bleeding, I cut myself whilst trimming the dog. I didn't hurt the dog in any shape or form, but I did cut myself, so apologies if you see that issue. I am not your traditional kind of, Morticia Adams looking lover of the Gothic and the dark, as it were. It was something I loved a lot as a child, and it was something that I really suppressed and bottled up as I got into my 20s, because I thought, it wasn't very appealing to the mass market, and I have like a weird cutesiness about myself as well. I love things like flowers and I love flowery patterns, but then I have an obsession with darkness and, to put it bluntly, death, and how I even got into my PhD in general, though my PhD is not discussing death, as it were, per se. I got into classics as a subject through my interest in death and everything to do with that. I know there's a lot of people who are in love with the Gothic, as it were, and I thought I'd just kind of give like an ode to darkness, particularly as someone who suffers with like mental health concerns and issues, because I can see where people would be concerned with someone with quite extreme mental health issues being so obsessed with like the dark, the Gothic and death and all that jazz. And I thought talking about how I got into it and my love of this realm, as it were, would explain the shifts in, my professional interests and just embracing parts of myself as I got older, and also why it actually means a lot to me, particularly because of my mental health problems. Obviously, I'm not going to go into any depth of that. The dogs have decided that this is the time to start play fighting. So if you hear little wee growling, that's them having a whale of a time. But they always decide to do this when I start filming. It would seem. Yes, love it. We love it. So where do I begin? Obviously, as I said, I'm not going to go into much discussion of like my personal mental health problems, but I've always had a fascination with the dark, the macabre and the Gothic. And it probably helped that I was born on November the 5th, which meant as a child growing up, I was born around like Halloween period. So all my birthday parties were Halloween. Oh, I've got dog hair on my nose. Sorry if you keep seeing this. I've got dog fluff on my nose and it's itching me, but I can't do anything about it, because the dog fluff is white, and as am I. So I actually really didn't like history growing up as a child. I know, really strange. I didn't read books and I didn't like history growing up, which is just hilarious, considering now what I do for a living and my whole life trajectory. But it just goes to show you that you can't predict what a child will do as they grow up. Obviously, I didn't know I was dyslexic and I had terrible history teachers and history was really boring to me. So I wasn't really invested in history. However, when I was 11 years old, I had a history teacher just for 1 year, and she taught us just for a term about ancient Rome and ancient Greece, and very briefly discussed Pompeii. And part of our homework of that week was to watch a documentary or like a mini drama on the BBC about Pompeii. And that, my friend, is where I became obsessed with classics, as it were, but through the art of death. Most people pick up their interest in classics through mythology, and which I was really interested in, but what really got me were the bodies in Pompeii. I was bonkers for those. And I'd already shown a lot of interest in, you know, mummification and the bodies that we see in sarcophagi nowadays, but I was obsessed. I was obsessed with the art of death in Pompeii, but I was already quite a weird person as a child. I was heavily bullied, and the last thing I really wanted to do was become like the person who's obsessed with death. I grew up kind of keeping that part of myself a little bit more buried, because I thought it was weird. I'm a weird person. And it started like creeping out gradually into my late 20s, and I decided to do an oh well, I mean, I'm even wearing the Sanderson Sisters jumper that the Witch Museum that my friend got me for my birthday, just to honour this kind of video. In the UK, I'm not sure if it's, you know, everywhere, so I don't want to make a statement. In the UK, the 21st birthday is a big birthday here. I know in America, like Sweet 16 is a big thing. 21 is a big thing here, and I suppose in America it would be as well, because I believe that's when, you know, you can legally drink. But here, 21 as well, everything becomes completely legal. And for my 21st birthday, my mother decided to get me a book on the Black Plague from the Folio Society. And I remember specifically asking her, "Why is this my main gift, Mother?" And she was like, "Well, there's a dead body on the front cover, so I thought you'd like it." And it was something that at the time, I was really quite nervous about being associated with, because I thought, because of my mental health and because of my history with, you know, my experiences with close to death and all that jazz, that I thought potentially being openly associated with it would be either, you know, bad for any kind of, you know, mental stability. I thought potentially I was at risk of romanticizing something that I'd come close to and was struggling on the border of. But as it turns out, that I think maybe my mental health has embraced the macabre and the Gothic in order to not romanticize what I've gone through and what I continue to go through and struggle with, but more beautifies something that I do find quite beautiful, and trying to find beauty in something that's incredibly dark. And I've always found it fascinating from a little, sorry, he's bought me a toy, from, this is such a stark contrast, isn't it? Like, tiny fluffy dog. Yes, do you want me to throw it for you? There you go, my little man. Where was I? Oh no, ADHD. Shouldn't do things like that. But really, I think, to me, like, even on my 31st birthday, I was alone. I took myself on a graveyard tour. Being around, like, the dead and darkness, as it were, is comforting to me. And it always has been, as someone who's quite, you know, lonesome. I live my life alone. Thank you, my dear. He's very happy that I'm doing the video down here today. He's the cutest little thing. Do you want me to throw your thing again? Look at that face. Oh my God. See, look at the contrast of what I'm talking about and the cuteness that I'm surrounded by. Death means a lot to me. The art of the macabre and horror, as it were, also means a lot to me. When I was a child, horror games and horror films were a big part of my, you know, growing up experience. And particularly, again, I think the association of this quite depressive child and then depressive adult. The idea of then embracing these things, I was scared that people would see it as almost a gimmick, or me trying to, I don't know, I was scared of, like, people think I was getting attention for my mental health if I were also quite openly Gothic. There you go, my love. I don't know, I just had fears that it would be misconstrued in a way that wasn't an authentic love and affection for, you know, just the darkness, in all honesty. Because I don't see myself as a traditional Gothic person, as it were. You know, I'm not someone who has the real, like, you know, Morticia Addams kind of look. I don't have a very Gothic looking house. You know, there's, like, colour and, like, you know, like pinks and things like that. Like, I'm not your traditional Gothic. I don't have, you know, stuffed animals, and I have fluffy dogs. And I don't dress very Gothic in all black. If anything, I don't wear black ever. It doesn't suit me. Believe it or not, it doesn't suit me. So I never associate myself with the Gothic, but then I suppose I just experience it very, like, in my own little unique way. It's not much of an aesthetic to me, as it is more of a way of thinking and life, although I do appreciate the Gothic aesthetic. It is something that's more of my enchantment with literature and ancient history, and I keep wanting to embrace the fact that I'm interested in really dark parts of the world. And yes, that leads into discussions of like really horrific things that happened in history, which can be quite, depressing, as I experienced in my last video about, Nazis and Atlantis. But at the same time, I love, I find there's a beauty in almost the ancient world in general of being a symbol of death. And not just, bodies and mummification and things like that and skeletons, but actually the idea of these ancient artifacts existing beyond death, that they were part of someone's life and now they are the remnants of an afterlife in of themselves. I adore. So I thought I would share with you some of my my prettiest dark book collection. Now, my main interests are death and also witchcraft. I haven't got all of my witchcraft books with me, but I thought I would show some that I'm planning on reading quite soon. And I will link all the books down below so you can take a look, and those books will be affiliate linked. So if you do buy one from that link, you'll be supporting my channel, but, clarification's sake, I'd appreciate it. But before we get into the books, I'd actually like to take a moment to thank today's sponsor, which is NordPass. Yes, my little man, we're thanking NordPass. Yes, look at him. Look at him. So if you are still storing all your passwords on your phone or using the same password for multiple sites, and you're still like my mother and writing them down in a notebook, I know, I wish you would stop, then it is time for you to take your cybersecurity more seriously with the help of today's sponsor, which is NordPass. I'll throw your thing. Here. He's not letting me. Go on then. Go catch the rose. Go on then. Oh. No? No, we're far more interested in Mother, aren't we? We're far more interested in Mother. So gone are the days of faffing around, looking for passwords. NordPass stores all of your passwords in one place and also logs you into your favourite accounts without you needing to enter your details, which is just a time saver in itself. With NordPass, you can store unlimited passwords which sync across all of your devices. So you don't need to go back and forth, faffing around, looking for them. They're all in one place. Oh, hello, I'm getting attacked during the ad read. Also, what I love the most is that NordPass allows you to store your notes as well. So all those secret notes that you need to keep protected, such as, Wi-Fi passwords or house passwords or codes that you need to remember. And it remembers and protects all of your credit card information. No one's paying attention to me. They're all paying attention to the dog. NordPass is more than a password manager. It's an essential cybersecurity tool that makes everyone's life easier and safer. It's a simple, easy to use and very secure password manager created by these cybersecurity experts who built NordVPN, the advanced online security and privacy app trusted by more than 14 million users worldwide. So if you want to make my little puppy really, really happy, and keep your cybersecurity safe as you should, then get exclusive access to NordPass's best offer from nordpass.com/Lady of the Library, or use the code Lady of the Library at the checkout to get an additional 1 month free. Thank you, NordPass, for giving your best offer to my subscribers. And now let us discuss the books that I have in my pretty book collection. I bought my dogs roses for Valentine's Day because I'm... So, it's really cute when he comes and carries it like a little... Oh, it's adorable. You're like a little dancer. Go fetch it. So obviously we have the Photo Society of the Great Plague. And I got really into reading about pandemics and plagues and epidemics when we were in the first lockdown. I read a lot about like the cholera. I read Spillover is a fantastic book if you're interested in, is it epidemiology? It is. I'm thinking of, for some weird reason, my brain suddenly went epistemology. This is why I don't do unscripted videos, because it would just be me talking to myself like this all the time. But let's show you the really pretty book. Now, this one I just got Halloween period, and it's the most beautiful book that I own. It is a book, a graveside companion of death, and I'm not sure if you can see the Grim Reaper there in all of his copper glory. It's Thames and Hudson, I believe. Is it? Yes, it is Thames and Hudson. Oh, this is an artistic and archaeological and just sociological discussion of death in art forms. It's just a wonderful history of death and the progress of it, and depictions of it across history and cultures and time. And I absolutely love it. It's forwarded by Will Self. I actually haven't read the forward of it, which is a bit cheeky. Also, Will Self, not my cup of tea, but anyway, the rest of the collection, which I've been browsing through, because I love also like death masks and just looking at how different cultures depict death, how they drew about death. I also have an annual pass to, in Edinburgh, we have Surgeons Hall, which if you come to Edinburgh, go to Surgeons Hall, and if you're interested in body parts, it's basically a collection of just every kind of little bit of body part that you can find in multiple different jars, and I absolutely love it there. It's very calming and soothing. And also, if you come to Edinburgh, there's also graveyard tours, which are also really great. I haven't been on a graveyard tour that I haven't enjoyed, but there are still more that I would like to go on. Then we have, the Madman's Library, but this is The Devil's Atlas. This is by Edward Brooke Hitching. I always forget his surname. Again, this is a sociological, historical look at the devil and the underworld and how it's evolved through cultures, time, etc., in art forms, in religions. So if you're interested in death, if you're interested in Dante's Inferno, then you'll love. It came with a beautiful bookmark, which I keep dropping. And I've got a signed edition of it. These books are absolutely stunning. Oh, an Explorer's Guide to Heavens, Hells, and the Afterworld. I think that's a far more suitable summary than I just gave, really. So this one I haven't read yet, but I saw it in a bookshop a couple of months ago, and I was like, yes, I know nothing about this, but I had just read Laura Purcell's book. This one, and it is about seances. I wasn't a massive fan of the book, but when I saw this, it's called They're Calling the Spirits, A History of Seances. And I would like to know the history of this realm of, we don't want to say scam artistry, do we? But it's kind of like, it's my realm of the idea of where did we develop this idea from? Because I read, Frank Finkel, I believe his surname is, The First Ghost, which is about Mesopotamian ghosts and the history of that. I read that last year, I think at the beginning of last year. And it's good. It's okay. I found his writing a little bit like comme ci comme ça. There were bits where it went a little. There was bits where it was engaging and then very stale. And yes, obviously we're talking about academic research here, but I don't know, there was a lot of stuff that could have been put in footnotes, which were in the main body of text, and I didn't enjoy the reading experience. However, aside from that, if you're looking for, very extensive academic research on the first ghosts, and the ghosts of Mesopotamia have a very similar kind of, or people with the idea of ghosts and spirits, very similar to a seance, particularly when, they spoke to the ghost or believed that the ghost was speaking to them, particularly at, events where someone was dying or symbols of death, and just how sociologically the Mesopotamians related to ghosts. Ghosts were quite a big part of their social understanding of the world, and also in their daily lives, which is interesting. And having my very primitive understanding of Mesopotamian relations with ghosts, I was kind of interested in looking at how it is in a way related to it, although the seance is a more modern construct. How this idea of talking to ghosts, which they did in ancient Mesopotamia through priests, all this has evolved through thousands of years, which is fascinating. I wanted to look more at the modern conceptualization of, the seance, and how it became more of a spiritual but disconnected, religiously disconnected experience with spirituality. Where, we have a history of exorcisms and stuff like that. Actually, if you have any recommendations for books on exorcisms, I would like to know. So please leave them down below. That'd be fascinating. And then let's jazz it up a bit. We've got a couple on here. Witchcraft. This is my prettiest book on witchcraft, and it's also my most expensive book on witchcraft. If you have seen this collection, this is from the Library of Esoterica, which these books are £50-60. It's ridiculous, but it's my prettiest book on witchcraft. Look, Yeah, that's oh my god, it's literally just all the artwork and discussions on witchcraft throughout centuries, cultures, histories. It is a quote unquote coffee table book. I haven't read it from back to cover, or front to cover. Chinsia, my god. But I have looked in here when I was discussing the Pendle Witch trials to see if there's any, reference to them. Like, I'm using it as a reference book. But also it is like, you have a chapter here on the transmutation of the witch and this modern art piece of it. I love learning about witches. Right, okay, so whilst I've been looking away, my dog has been slobbering over this actual book. But this is on my wish list for a wee while. My friend Chloe got it me for Christmas. It is The Art of Darkness. And again, it is literally about depictions of artwork of the macabre and horror and history throughout the ages. Oh, that was a good bloody, there we go. Look, the human condition. And like madness and insanity and evil and just all the things that I love to explore. And I don't really know why, just because I'm a strange person. I do love connecting with darkness in its way. I think it makes me feel, it almost helps me explain elements of myself that are, destructive and horrifying in of themselves, but it makes me feel more human knowing that it's an element of human, fascination and obsession in some cases and throughout the centuries. So whilst, it's destructive and horrifying in many of its ways, it's still part of landscapes and artwork and culture and the city that I'm living in, etc. So that's why I love collecting books on this. So, another book on witchcraft, which I haven't read yet. I've heard mixed things on this book. Yes, my man, I've heard mixed things. And, oh my god, he's so cute! I'm so proud of this cut. Okay, I know I'm not exactly, like, you can see it's all scruffy, okay? But he was traumatized. It took 2 hours to shave him because he was just trying to climb up. As you can see, he likes to climb up me. And the whole time, I have, like, this dog scratching at my neck, trying to climb down my back to escape the little shavy thing. So the fact that I even got him looking remotely cute, to me, is a win. It's not even in any shape or form, but I have many years to, master the craft of shaving my dog down. So there we go. Anyway, so this book I haven't read yet. It's Cursed Britain. It's a modern, history of witchcraft and black magic in modern times. And again, I have heard mixed things. Some people give it like 2 stars, some people give it 4 stars on Goodreads. And yes, I'm giving you... He's such an attack. He just wants to bite my... You're all like, why aren't you fussing him? He wants to bite my hand, like he's attacking me during this moment. Like, look, I'm being subjected to absolute, like, torture right here. Like, cute torture, whilst my other dog squeaks something. But yeah, so I want to give it a go. I've been avoiding it for a long time, purely because of the mixed reviews online. But again, I think this is only British. It is British. Yeah, it's a British history of. It's literally called Cursed Britain. I'm so ashamed of myself. This is why I don't script videos. I should just bury my head in shame. Just stick head in sand and just die there. Anyway, we're going to move on because I'm too ashamed. This is one again that I got quite recently. Haven't read it, but it's edited by someone that I know. If you watched my channel for many years, I've obviously privated all of my old content because I'm not a fan of having unscripted content anymore available to the public. But I interviewed Claire Askew. Claire Askew is a poet. She lived in Scotland, I believe. Now she lives back in England, but she's originally from England. She comes up now and then. And Claire Askew wrote a lot of poetry about witchcraft because one of her, I think it was one of her great-great-grandmothers was executed for witchcraft, and Askew is the same surname. So this is The Modern Craft, The Powerful Voices on Witchcraft and Ethics. It's more of a collection of modern essays on witchcraft and what it means to people and storytellers in general. So if you're interested in how witchcraft explores, or like rather permeates and influences writers today, how witchcraft is discussed, even in discussions of the Anthropocene, there are many essays on here, particularly with mental health and gender, etc. So if you're interested, and also queerness, because again, a lot of people would have been executed of witchcraft or accused of for presenting any suggestions that they were queer in the late 16th century. So there's that. And speaking of witchcraft and queer relations, we have witchy fens, queer conjurers, and magic rebels becoming dangerous. Again, this is another modern collection on witchcraft and the symbol of contemporary witchcraft. And I bought these two together because I just thought they sounded really interesting. Why do you want to bite my hand? He's just got hyper. Look at the little face! He's so sweet. You're so sweet, my little scruffy bean. And the final book that... everyone's like, turn off autofocus. It literally says off right there. Ow, you're pulling my hair. You're pulling my hair. No, it hurts. Right. Oh my goodness, are you okay? Oh, I'm sorry. The book fell. And he's not hurt. It just, the book on top of the pile fell and it freaked him out. Anyway, the final one that I'm going to share with you is more of an artsy-fartsy kind of like book. But again, we are talking about witches and wicked bodies, witchcraft in the body depictions and artwork providing in it. It's all history on the body of witchcraft. Again, a lot about death, which I love. So we're all about that. But I love these books primarily for how they've been laid out with the images. And I know people are like, what are you talking about? One of my biggest pet peeves as someone who has to read a lot about ancient history is when they are discussing an archaeological evidence and there is no image, which was my biggest pet peeve with a recent book. It was very good, Dark Archives. It was about the binding of books in human skin. And the history of associations with it. Not many books have been bound in human skin, spoiler alert, but there have been a couple, and they're primarily in America. Contemporary America has bound more books in human skin than any ancient past history. If anything, I think it was all contemporary, like 20th century American doctors who bound books in human skin. But there were rumours of books bound in human skin in the Nazi period, in the French Revolution, and they all turn out to be fake. It's a history of that. What was irritating me with that book was there were no images with the discussions of these books. And that really wound me up. And I know I shouldn't be wound up, but I haven't got imagination. And I want to see what we're talking about. If we're talking about really interesting artifacts here, I want to see them. I want them to be on the page really close by. I don't want it, like, talk about it, like, I don't know, like in page, like here, and then the picture of it is in an insert on page, like, 189. You know, like, I want to be able to access the images. And with all these books, the images that they are discussing are nearby. I mean, obviously not the video, the essay collection. Ancient history and archaeological books do what this book does, which is, oh, no pictures, no pictures. And then in the middle here, there are images. And I'm just like, you talked about this on page, like, 20. And was that page 20? No, it was 63. But, you know, it's I was hoping I pulled that off. But that one I can understand because it's just a general non-fiction book. That's completely understandable. And it's more about, you know, social anthropology than anything else and history. But when it's talking about artifacts, and Cursed, the Dark Archives book, didn't have any images, if I remember. I don't remember seeing any images in that book. And it was really irritating because I wanted to see the book she was talking about. Even though they weren't bound in human skin, I still wanted to see them. And she went into a lot of detail describing stuff that I was like, this could have been saved. You just gave me the effing picture. And maybe it's because... but she should have explained if there were limitations to her not being able to photograph the books, which I'm not sure. I mean, these libraries gave her access to the books to handle them and look at them and examine them. I can't see them not allowing her to take images of them and photographs of them. But that was the biggest pet peeve. So I hate it when books discuss archaeological evidence and the image is not right there. And, you know, I did a video on Cersei recently. The Transformations of Cersei book is brilliant for that. She talks about it and it's right there, the picture. Like, it's on the next page, it's within the next 2 pages. They are there. They've done a fantastic job of compiling the information and giving you the evidence straight away. It really annoys me when they're not there. And all of these books, aside from the Curse of Britain, but it's not really an archaeological book, when we are discussing, you know, images and bodies of witchcraft, images of darkness, the devil and death, the images are right there. And that's what I like. These books are expensive, but I think it's because these ones are worth the money, because they have been very thoughtfully constructed in a way that makes it easier for a reader to conceptualize something that is history and art. So they're the books that I wanted to share with you today. They are all linked down below. Again, they are affiliate links, so if you buy one for yourself or for someone else and you use my link, it will support my channel. Clarity's sake, thank you NordPass for sponsoring today's video. Thank you for allowing me to do a video that wasn't a video essay. I can only apologise. I will have my video essays back up soon. I do have a second channel, which I do plan on uploading on, but it's just video essays are very time consuming and I don't have any life. So you need to be able to have a life to be able to write something that's not a video essay. Like, I can't even just chill in front of a video most of the time because my whole mind is like video essay, and then sleep. And then dealing with my own personal stuff, which is like not healthy. But I thought I'd talk about darkness today. So thank you so much for watching. I hope it was somewhat comprehensible, and I will see you very soon for a very, like, again, dark mythology video. And I take care, and remember, books save lives, so keep reading.